Hello, everybody. This is Brothaspeak Podcast, and we are coming to you with a special edition, I guess you could say, a special episode that we just wanted to basically talk about pertaining to the shootings that were occurring in Orlando. The reason why we're actually doing this particular event is mainly because of the fact that, number one, there's a lot of people who actually feel very, very sad of the event, very indifferent, very just all mixed feelings go occurring, especially down here in Wilton Manors territory. And in the Wilton Manors area, which most people know is a very highly gay population, one of the top cities in the United States pertaining to the LGBT, we wanted people to kind of share their emotions, as well as also talk about different topics surrounding that. So we have a guest here, as well as also the normal co-host that we normally have, the Brothaspeak Podcast. So I'm just going to go around again. My name is Chris, just in case no one actually heard. And I'm going around to the next person.
Darnell.
Ricky.
JT.
Kashai.
And Kashai is our guest. And just so most people kind of know, Kashai, can you tell us a little bit about exactly who and what things you do in the community, and from there?
All right. Well, I just want to first say I'm glad to be a part of the podcast. I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I'm just grateful to be here. What I do in the community is I do sexual health education, as well as advocacy and mentoring with the LGBT youth.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for about 8 years now.
Okay.
It first started, I was the president of GSA at my college, and then I just started volunteering, and it led me here.
Awesome. Well, I do thank you for joining us. Definitely, it's a lot of things that actually occurred here. So, just to kind of get started in terms of what actually occurred. What actually occurred recently, there's obviously last night, basically, that occurred at the Pulse Club located in Orlando, Florida. Because during this entire month is Pride Month, basically. And last week, I told everyone that I went to Gay Days myself, and I actually went to an event that was with Deborah Cox and as well as also Sandra Bernhardt at the Parliament. This particular event was continuous, as everyone normally goes to their normal clubs. And Pulse basically had a nice time as normal, but things changed around, I'm sure
2 a.m.
Around 2 a.m. And usually in Orlando, most people who don't know, Orlando shuts down at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So this particular event kind of changed things radically. You're thinking you're getting ready to go home and just simply go home and just start another day or just rest up from the night, and things dramatically changed. So the person that actually came in, apparently he was a security guard officer. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. He was a security guard officer who came from Fort Pierce, Florida. He drove down to Orlando, specifically mainly because of the fact, according to his father, he was upset at the fact that he saw two men kissing in Miami.
Right.
So by the shooter by the name of Omar Mir Sadiku Mateen, a 29-year-old Muslim American, came down to Orlando. He had a pistol as well as an AR-15 rifle, and he started to open fire on, I think about 50 people died, 52 people.
Well, it's rising. It's risen.
It's risen.
Really? Yeah. Last I saw, 49 people died, and he was the 50th, and then 53 people were injured. But I guess the numbers has gone up.
15 minutes. Yeah.
Wow. So the numbers are definitely changing, and this is considered to be
one of the deadliest shooting in U.S. history.
Deadliest shooting in U.S. history. Now, to me, I'm listening to, again, let me just tell you what occurred today. For me, I got all these texts.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly what was going on. I just saw in a text, shooting mass Orlando. And, right now, my phone is having a little bit of issues. I just said, let me just, save it for later. And next thing you know, people are checking up on me. I had my aunt saying, are you in Orlando? No, I'm home, And then I had other friends. People were checking up on them. Yeah. And so it was something that's
been the theme of the morning, I think, for everybody. Because I didn't know either. I got a text message this morning, like 9 o'clock, and I did the same thing. I saw it. I was like, okay, well, I'll reply when I wake up because I was still sleepy.
Yeah.
So I didn't find out until like maybe 11 when I got up, and then I started to see all these comments on Facebook while people were, like you said, they were trying to check in. They were trying to find their friends to make sure that you're okay. Please check in is what I was starting to see. So I started to reply and call people, whatever. So that's the way that the day's been going for most everybody.
I woke up and, I checked my favorite celebrity gossip website, and I'm scrolling down reading about bullshit, and then it says there's a shooting at a nightclub in Orlando, and I'm like, okay. And then it says 20 people dead, and I'm like, holy shit, that's terrible. 20 deaths is horrible. And then I saw the number rise to 50, and it just I felt like I got punched in the gut.
Yeah, it just hit
Especially
you.
when I saw it was a gay nightclub.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea how to process how I feel about it or anything. I'll be honest with you guys, I had a good cry. I cried.
Yeah, it touches you. It touches your
it
heart.
just,
It could have been one of us.
It could have been
somebody
somebody. I was out last night.
That's exactly what I thought.
It could have easily been down here,
been.
and it just, it's insane. It's insane that someone could hate that much. I can't even process it.
It's one of those situations right now that I look at everything, and me personally, I'm always going to be very not so sure about the press. And I was kind of looking at things, so I'm looking at all sorts of things on there. And so I have opinions on that, which I'll definitely share a little bit later. Kashai, can you enlighten us and tell us what your feelings were and what things have people actually interacted? Did people reach out to you thinking you were in Orlando? What was your experience on this?
Well, yes, a lot of people thought I was in Orlando, especially people from out of town. A lot of people know that I'm going to Orlando in the next couple of days for a flight out of the country. So a lot of people were checking on me, and I wasn't sure why. And then the next thing I saw online was mass shooting at a gay club. And I was so upset. I was angry. I was sad. So many things, because I thought, oh my gosh, I know a lot of people in Orlando. I know a lot of people in Orlando that go to that club. Is everyone okay? I noticed on Facebook they started marking, people can mark if they're safe, and you can mark if they're safe as well. I reached out to everybody I knew in Orlando, because I will be staying there for the next 2 days, and I just wanted to make sure everyone was okay. And so far, everyone's okay. I believe one of my friends, I reached out to him, he was there last night, and he said he was shaken up, but he's safe. And there's just so many things that I have an issue with. I'm upset that this happened, and that so many shootings continue to happen. And so many shootings continue to happen in areas that we would consider just fun places to go.
Absolutely.
I automatically thought of, okay, that shooting in the movie theater last year.
Yeah.
I thought of shooting in the church, that shooting in Connecticut, I think Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
I think of these things, and I just felt, well, damn, if this event happens and people still continue to brush it off, something else can happen. I truly don't feel safe in an open space or closed space area, because anything could happen at any moment. Yeah, we can put metal detectors and we can screen people, but I did have a conversation with someone who's pro-gun, and he wasn't trying to impose any sort of rhetoric on me. He was just trying to make me understand why someone would have a gun, and explaining to me the process of possessing a gun. And he said that a lot of people who are in a lot of these instances, a lot of those people are mentally unstable. They may not have a record, but they're mentally unstable, and a lot of them may steal firearms. You never know if they obtained that illegally or not.
Right.
And anything can happen at any moment. So my whole thing is, as well, while this was going on, we need to have this discussion, and we need to talk about it, and people really need to say how uncomfortable and how scared they are. Because I think what happens is, for a couple of days, we'll go on social media and we'll say, oh, my prayers and my thoughts are with you. Like, that pissed me off. Yeah. I was like, y'all don't mean that shit.
Yeah.
Can I curse?
Saying it
okay, no, I'm just saying. I was like, y'all don't mean that shit. That's just a social media acceptable thing to say. Right. It was just, it's so fake to me. Because if you all really cared, let's talk about it and actually
longer than a couple of days.
Longer than 3 days. Let's make our local politicians uncomfortable. Let's make the conservative people uncomfortable. Let's really actually do something. And for me, I started having phone calls because I really needed to talk about it, and I really felt like I need to physically do something. Right. So that's why I went to the community vigil, because I felt like I needed to really see people actually give a damn as opposed to just posting online, because I just feel like that's superficial. I feel
easy.
like it's so easy, and I feel like it's on a surface. And I think when we actually get out there and we see things, to see members of the Muslim American community out there, to see mayors and people of Broward County, to see all the police people, to see that actually comforted me. That comforted me more than going online and seeing, hearts for Orlando, because I just feel like,
you changed your profile picture. Good for you.
Yeah, and that's a great gesture, but what is that going to do in the long run?
I do want to get into exactly what occurred recently in Wilton, because I just found out about it, and I had to actually go out and occur to Wilton. So but swing over to time to find out, Wilton, JT, what happened? Did people actually reach out to you? What was going on in your experience?
Me, an acquaintance of mine reached out this morning, and he just texted me, "Have you heard about Orlando?" And I told him, "I don't watch TV. What happened?" And he gave me the news. And when he gave me the news, it didn't go away. It just manifested and manifested and manifested. And I was like, why is this bothering me? Why is this bothering me? And about 30 minutes in, he's like, shit, your cousin. So I hopped up. Matter of fact, my uncle who I stay with, who I take care of, is his son. I hopped up and I ran outside and I called. And she told me that she got a text 7 o'clock this morning. He was home safe. And all I can do is laugh it off. I've really been struggling with it all day. I've been in deep depression because of it. For me, like I said, I'm really tired of the senseless killings, cowards carrying guns. And I start because I said I was going to surprise you guys tonight and show up to here to the podcast. And when I started doing research, the first thing I ran into, he has been on the terrorist list twice in the past 2 years, 2013 and 2014, and I stopped because at that point I couldn't accept any more about this person because of this person has been planning shit for the longest, and he's been swept under the rug, and it makes it bad for the true Muslims that's not even on this fucking level.
Exactly.
That get now associated, the real people from the Middle East who are not on this level. It makes them subject to bullshit because this asshole and every asshole like it.
Exactly. That's what we were talking about. That's exactly. It may not. They're trying to label it as a terrorist attack, and he may not even be affiliated with this. This may be something that he decided that he's going to do, but to bring attention to himself. Because sometimes they do that, just to say, "Okay, I'm part of this," but I've
saw pictures. I looked up Google and I Googled his name, and they had something about Twitter and Twitter feed, and they showed him a New York Police Department shirt on. I really didn't get into it, so please don't quote me if you see these pictures. I think they were saying
already denied that he had any affiliation with.
And they were saying that he had something to deal with Orlando PD. But my problem is, and I know with the equipment that he had, security didn't stand a chance. So I want to say where was security in this, but at the end of the day, they didn't. If they tried to stop him, they didn't stand a chance. But to do both sides, because I'm against guns, but to kind of add to what we're talking about with the gun situation, if someone was able to carry a gun, they might would have took his ass out sooner than 50 people. Don't carry a gun without bullets. I don't care what the law says.
There's something actually behind that also, because of the fact that I know a lot of politicians have been actually stopping the making of bullets in order to prevent the gun maker. But we're going to get to that too. Mateen became a person of interest to the FBI in 2013 and 14. 2013 investigation was opened after Mateen made inflammatory comments to coworkers, and the 2014 investigation was opened after Mateen was linked to another U.S. radical who became a suicide bomber in Syria. Mateen was interviewed 3 times in connection with the investigations, which were both closed after producing nothing that appeared to warrant further investigation. This actually came from Wikipedia. Of course, when it comes to things like this, they post things very quickly. And also, along with that, U.S. Representative Adam Schiff and ranking Democrat member of the House of Intelligence Committee, and said the Department of Homeland Security informed him Mateen had pledged allegiance to the Islamic State of Iraq and Levant, ISIL. An NBC News citing law enforcement sources reported that a teen called 911 and pledged allegiance to ISIL leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi during the incident. So, this is something that they're reporting to us. This is something that was actually just recently posted. So apparently they tried to connect them. They didn't really see the need. They closed the case.
But it is crazy that someone that was on the terrorist watch list was able to obtain legally
2 guns.
Two guns.
2 guns, not one, but 2 in the past week. What is it, a week or 2?
Yeah,
in the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. He was 29 years old. He actually was a security guard for G4S Secure Solutions.
And there's his cover.
Exactly.
He's a security guard. I need a gun.
Exactly.
We're definitely going to get into the topic of guns, but, I got to say that I got to give kudos to the Wilton policemen down here in Fort Lauderdale. Number one, when you actually go down to the Pride Center, for a lot of people don't know, is actually an LGBT community center that's actually located here in Wilton Manors off of Dixie Highway. And they actually got everybody involved rather quickly. All police officers were out. They came out. They blocked certain areas, but they were just lined up to kind of let people know, hey, look, with the event that's going to occur this Saturday, and this is part of the Pride Month here in Wilton Manors down on Saturday this week, they want to let people know that the security's been beefed up. Basically, we're going to watch. There's going to make sure that everyone feels safe and secure. A lot of people just came in droves, in and out, to kind of get a little piece of what's going on. And I believe a vigilance is occurring as well.
I think it started at 6.
Yeah.
In Orlando, and I'm not sure, maybe here as well. But they were saying that's what they were going to do at 6 o'clock. They were going to start, and they were going to have a moment for the victims.
And they're doing that down here also in the Wilton Manors area. So I gotta say, this is the response to it. I got to give kudos to that because
they're doing a great job, and I think with Stonewall coming up, it is important to be prepared. I know Wilton Manors has had issues with jaywalkers being hit. And I know they've put cones in the road.
I heard about that a few days ago.
Yeah, they've been doing that. Also, in the past, we've dealt with protesters at some Stonewall parades. We've done with some hate crimes happening at some parades. And now with this happening, it just makes it that more important that we have as much security. But I also think we all have a shared responsibility to look out for each other. It's really important that we don't just wait for someone to rescue us. We have absolutely in our capability to protect ourselves and protect someone else.
Now, I'm going to find out what exactly was, because I came late. I came a little bit late towards it because I found out a little bit later. Since you were there, what exactly were people saying?
Well, there was a lot of support from the audience. What I did hear was I heard a lot of people, I guess they're like mayors and a lot of officers from office, they were just saying that they definitely want people to report any anti-gay or anti-Islamic rhetoric or any comments, any form of discrimination, report it. It will be dealt with. Also, the Muslim American leaders, they were out there. And for those who don't know, for those who aren't familiar with Islam, this is the holy month of Ramadan where Muslims fast.
Oh, wow.
Until about 8:15 p.m. And they eat, and basically the purpose of Ramadan is to fast, and for those who are less fortunate, it's kind of a way for them to relate, because it's one of the pillars of Islam is to be generous and to do charity, and the Muslim community does a lot of feeding. They feed a lot of the homeless people, so that's basically in a nutshell the concept of why they fast, and they do it for 30 days. They eat nothing until the sun goes down. And it's a lot of things that came to my mind, because I am a supporter of the Muslim community. I am an ally, and I was just that's one of the things I thought of, because I'll never forget the amount of discrimination my Muslim friends encountered after 9/11. It was difficult, and I'm somebody who wears a lot of traditional outfits from India and the Middle East and Africa, and I get often asked, "Are you Muslim? Are you Muslim?" And I get asked a lot of questions, especially because I went to Dubai this year. And So when that happened and I found out that the shooter was Muslim, I was like, Lord have mercy. These people will take any opportunity to shoot someone down, to say something negative about, okay, if this were like a black and white issue, I feel like they'd be like, oh, they would want an opportunity to put all, they would want an opportunity to put all of their hatred and ignorance, because it would be validated. So I think a lot of people feel validated.
As soon as any person of color does something bad, it reflects on the entire community.
And it should not.
And it shouldn't.
It shouldn't. And there's radicalism in every religion.
When white people do things, it's allowed to be individualized. Like, he's crazy.
Because they want to
That's
put
immediately
categories.
He's crazy.
It's like, well, I'm not this group. I'm in this group, and I make this X amount of dollars, so that eliminates me from this. So it's kind of like there's separation when it comes to them, but we're all put into one group. So,
I guess when it comes to the emotions right now, most of the time, most people are going to be they're going to be sad, but what's going to be the reaction afterwards?
Exactly.
Right.
That becomes a big question to me, because right now we're talking about campaigns, guys. Political campaigns are out.
Yeah, it's a crazy time.
I'm so sure that a lot of politicians are saying some things right now that probably either incite people or pisses people off the opposite direction.
Exactly.
But being the fact the popular consensus at this point, when you say the word Muslim, right now everyone reacts in a different negative way.
Because
thank you, Trump.
They have the Muslim extremists has set that into place for the true people who are really practicing the religion.
Exactly.
And for those who don't know, it's I'm gonna just say over 100 different denominations of Muslim religion. So I say that because it's not just Muslim like Christians. You have different denominations of Christians, and they don't get along with each other.
Exactly.
And Muslims are the same. It's hundreds of different Muslim religion. When you're ignorant to the point that you don't know, you don't know. And like me, I only know it was two, and it was the Shiites.
Because and Sunni and Shiite.
Yeah, the Shiites. And who was since you were kind of into it, about 4 or 5 years ago, the Shiites was fighting with another different Muslim denomination.
I can't remember exactly.
But that's what made the Shiites stick, because it sounded like Shiite. So that's what made the Shiites stick. They were battling between each other, and they were actually into a battle where they were killing each other. So it's not just American soil. This is people who really stand up for what they believe in and willing to die for it.
I think people need to realize that every religion has radical factions.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's just, it seems, but the narrative, you have people up there who are just promoting this narrative that all Muslims are crazy and they're going to shoot you. And something like this, unfortunately, kind of reinforces that.
Well, they're capitalizing on the ignorant.
Yeah,
they are.
Exactly.
They really are.
You took the words out of my mouth. Because I was just going to say
ignorance.
ignorance does that. But
fear is profitable.
Yeah,
it really is.
It really is.
It really is.
Not to say that I know, but I know the people who actually own the tanks, own the rifles, own all this other stuff. They're capitalizing, and they can care less.
Of course, but not even just that. Obviously the weapons are a part of it, but just think of the media. You think of the power that the media has, and certain words or certain news clips, certain images.
I'm so happy you said that.
It really it sticks into your memory, and it just plays a huge part of it.
And I always say this: repetition is the devil's cousin. And one thing I've actually noticed, at least for me, right now, I've actually noticed the press and the media not saying the word gay so much versus Muslim.
I'm afraid that the homophobia of it is going to get lost in the gun control debate.
It will.
It
will. Listen,
because it's many issues. It's not just
exactly.
Issue,
there's so many layers.
We cannot ignore the gay.
Ignore the gay. I think people are, because of the fact that think about it. There's a certain consensus, a certain feeling about both gay and Muslim.
Right.
No matter what you say, no matter what you think, gay and Muslim. But now the word becomes, well, what do people hate more? Seriously. What do people hate more? Let's get rid of the word and downplay the word gay right now. Let's just call it a club. Orlando
Right.
Club.
Yeah,
But you know-
well, I have seen a lot of that.
Exactly, and they're
Yes.
using it. And I'm always watching stuff like that. It's a setup.
Yeah.
And right now we're talking about political campaigns again, and I'm really, in my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, it's going to propel Trump.
Yeah,
I think
he's
right
working. He's working that angle to he's trying to push Obama into saying that it does have to do with a terrorist attack. But right now they're just saying we're taking on all the information right now, and we're going to investigate it in the way that we should, and what we come up with is what we come up with.
And Obama always approaches it that way. He should. You should approach it that way.
He's a
you know?
president. You have to have a cool, calm head when you have
Yes.
all these people coming to you asking questions. But Trump, on the other hand, is trying to insinuate that it's something completely different without knowing the facts.
He's just taking an opportunity.
But
That's
for me
something.
personally, this goes back to mental health. That's the root of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who you praise and what you it goes back to mental health because of Sandy Hook. That child had a fucking problem. Columbine, those children had a fucking problem.
Dylan Root.
Yeah.
Fucking problem.
They had a problem that was looked over. And that's the problem with society today. When it's your child, you don't want to address it and look over it. But right now, at this moment, for those who looked over the problem, when it became Sandy Hook, Columbine, and all that, they can't look over it anymore. And
Yeah,
that's
of
the
course.
problem.
But they can. Columbine was 20 years ago.
No.
And,
But what I'm saying, when it was immediately,
Yeah.
they couldn't look over it. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, it might smooth over now. But the thing is, especially in the black community, when we see that our children have issues, mental health issues and stuff like that, we need to address
we don't
that
want to
shit.
understand.
No, you pray on it. That's what you
Yeah.
Let's keep that
and
shit
pray it
real.
goes away.
Yeah.
You know, but where's God when you need him?
Well, I mean, what else? A lot of parents do a lot of things that they don't know how to address. Keep in mind, even parenting, I may not be a parent, but I do understand that parenting does not come with a book. It does not come with any type of manual. You have to address it. Most people approach it in a very emotional manner, and some people approach it logically. So making that balance is very tough for any parent. So when you see the fact that this is a 29-year-old man that committed this action, he's not a child.
No.
But he's
It's a
mentally
29-year-old man
Right.
with
But-
a child, a 3-year-old son himself,
I didn't know that.
remarried, who used to beat his wife.
I did see that.
And so now you look at this stuff and say, okay, well, wait a minute, me personally, if you know, well, not only that, but I personally don't know enough information to say, did this wife report that to the police? And if that was the case, knowing his job, was that enough to say, we have to put this person on arrest for right now because he's carrying a gun? Maybe he can do unarmed
If it was a
duties,
proper investigation.
can keep his money flowing, but was it reported? That becomes a question for me.
Unfortunately, misogyny is so rampant that even hearing something like that like he beat his wife, I'm certain it would have made a difference at his job.
You know what? And that's the sad part. That's the sad part because of the fact that when knowing somebody is actually carrying a weapon that you gave the license for, issued by that state, issued by the federal government, it should be reported. And it's so therefore, I would say the modifications for gun control. That's one modification. If you're reported to say have beaten your wife or have done some abusive thing towards anybody,
Look at the George Zimmerman situation, which
I was
is
about to say.
just as a couple of miles up the street.
Yeah.
When he started after he beat the case for Trayvon Martin,
He got his gun back.
yeah, and how he tormented his girlfriend or fiance to be whatever title she wanted to have at the time. You know what I'm saying? That shit was swept under the rug.
see, and that's the problem that I also have because something's with this. That's why my suspicion is going to always be there. And let me tell you why. Most companies, especially insurance companies or any other company who doesn't want that spotlight, they handle it first themselves. They always handle it. That's a political move. You handle it yourself, so therefore politics won't come into play. Because when they come into play, it becomes worse. So let's handle it ourselves. This is what we're going to do, but nobody's doing anything.
Exactly.
Suspicion.
I think what bothers me most about all of this is that we have very few safe spaces for us. And just the idea of, these people going out, wanting to have a fun night at the club, and to then get murdered in that space to where you felt like you could really be yourself, you could be comfortable, and it just didn't happen.
Well, but see, but wait a minute. This is what I already noticed, especially down here. Every time I go to a club, there's a bunch of policemen always there. There's a lot of policemen always there.
There are.
Not just security guard. It is actual policemen with a siren, one officer at the door. So you mean to tell me here, not one officer was at this door
It's
or
probably-
near the
but
door?
It's probably
But,
the
you know, a lot of-
atmosphere. You really don't need it because
I have not seen that at a gay
No,
club.
but then at the same time,
You
have
a
they
lot
ever
these-
had any
a lot
incidents of
these clubs are
fights
not
at this
petty
club?
down.
Yeah.
For here, Wilton Manors is a very narrow spot. So yeah, if the party is going on Wilton Manors, yes. But Club Boy, you never seen any no police there.
True.
You get what I'm saying?
That's true.
South Beach, it's a narrow area. People walking up and down the street, but you really never see a police at the club.
But you know what? Because they're literally across the street from the police department.
Well, that's
I mean,
for,
they are
that's
very
for
close.
Twist, but even
It's not that far. Twist
yeah,
is not that
but
far.
that's what I'm saying. It's
And by
a
the way,
narrow-
we're mentioning gay clubs, so everyone
South
knows it's South
Florida.
Beach. Yeah.
But it's a narrow margin. It's right down the street. It's not too far away, so it's different.
So the response time would be very quick.
Exactly, because they're just right down the street.
Well, so therefore my question is regarding here. The response time, what was it for you to kill 50 people and injure 52,
Well, he
and
did
the numbers
hold
been
them
rising?
hostage.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so even
just
to
think
hold
it's,
hostage,
it
you're
makes me
still
think
buying
more.
time for them to come.
Yeah.
You're still buying
you,
time.
the thing is about that, you can't walk in a situation blind. You have to know what you're going into, because that person who was in that club, Omar, had the upper hand because he's already in. He knows his exits. He knows what he's going to do to get away. When you come in as a police officer or a SWAT team, you have to find a strategy, because if you don't know what's inside, you don't know how to attack it.
See that, and I also come another question on that. You mean to tell me security guards didn't get on the phone or report anything? Because I don't think he walked in there in the door. It had to be an inside thing.
But I think they was I
we don't
personally
know.
think they was the first one to go.
That's what we were saying. Like when he got there, it's like, okay, all of a sudden does he just pull his firearms out at the security and tell them? Does he shoot them down? Does he tell them to go inside? What does he do? How does this play out?
Right, because I
this
had
is
a
security.
I had a friend who went to this club a minimum of a month ago, and she was just telling me about the experience there. And security do basic purse checks and shit like that, but it was all guys. It wasn't really a major security thing. That's just like in Wilson Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see security,
They don't
but it
pat you
ain't
down.
really.
It's just for show.
Yes,
Right. They're mostly
they're there to break up fights
or
and
something.
put your ass out the door, put you in timeout.
Yeah.
But they're not prepared
with the
with
firearms blazing.
right, and they're not prepared for that. You understand?
Yeah.
So
I think that focusing on what the security could have done is kind of like treating the symptom and not the actual like the deep rooted problem.
There's so many.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
There's
we
a
can
lot to
speculate
it.
all day and all night, but until the facts come out and people start to report more on it,
Right.
we won't really.
Because I mean, there are
So
a
did
number
not
of
know there was a
survivors. We can
hostage.
find out more.
Right,
Yeah.
know
and
they were
take you
hostage.
back.
That's the way it was described as
Yeah,
a hostage
he held them
situation.
hostage.
And take you back to 9/11. I was supposed to be on the plane for 9/11. I missed my flight. After September 11th, my treatment from before and after was totally different. I can remember that I had to end up going to Miami to catch a flight because I couldn't catch one out of Fort Lauderdale. And I had on my work uniform and I had on Timberland boots. They almost made me strip. They treated me so harsh because I was 40 minutes late. It was 40 minutes before the plane took off instead of an hour. So when things happen, people treat it differently, but nobody wants to address the issue before it happens. And now we need to start with this, addressing shit before it happens. If it's a light odor, let's find out where that odor, not wait till it gets stank.
Well, see, that's where I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people do actually address things, but it just certain topics I think are probably a little bit more sensitive or tougher than others. When it comes down to the gun control, let's just talk about that for a minute. My personal feeling, I am pro-guns. I'm not going to be down anyone. The person behind the gun is what I'm more
it's
about.
the mentality of the
I'm
individual
not-
who's carrying the gun.
Yes, I'm not going to sit here and say it was the gun. I come from a family. Most of my family come from Georgia, and then you kind of grew up with that mentality. The gun, matter of fact, was very obvious in the household. Let's keep that number one.
Yeah.
The gun probably actually was over the door. You just knew.
Not the
Don't
touch it.
touch that damn gun. That was it. And you had a respect for family, you had a respect for authority, your parents, and guess what you did not do? You didn't touch that gun. So for me, and not only that, but my dad had a gun. I didn't touch that gun. I knew what a gun was. I did not touch the gun. Period. Point blank done. But not only that, but there's a certain fear about guns in itself. Let's just start there. The fear surrounding guns. You know it causes harm if it's in the wrong hands or mishandled. How many accidents has occurred with guns? My little cousin was killed by a BB gun that set off and he had it. So the thing about it is, and I was basically the same age as him. So we grew up playing together. That was 8 years old. And so the respect for the gun, and that was just mere by accident. I just knew, growing up, we all knew in the household, that is daddy's gun, leave it alone, don't touch it. Now, the thing about it is, do I think that certain individuals mentally have issues? Absolutely. So therefore, for those individuals, there should be a lot bigger restrictions, but I'm not going to place that upon everyone else. Absolutely not. Did I go to training for the class to get a gun? I did. I did with my ex-partner. And we went to those classes and we learned a lot. Matter of fact, usually when in those training, they teach you the gun is the last result. Have mace, have something else in your weaker hand that you normally do not use, spray in their face, something to divert away from using the gun as the first result. And we also learned those who call first usually wins. Because when you call the policeman to say, this is occurring, I have my firearm, or somebody else's, whoever calls first, it becomes a big of an issue. So that training I shot a small gun, medium gun, large guns. So you can see the feel of it, the power of it, all those things. So you understand what you're dealing with, how serious it is to actually carry a gun, etc. Now, that was the training I had. I'm not sure that anyone else actually had that type of training and also gain that type of respect.
To carry a gun.
And also that type of respect. To me, I'm not going to say that I would willingly carry a gun at 7-Eleven, but I am going to say that that is something that I think is okay to have placed in the area with a lock as a last result. And have your mace gun with you. Have your mace with you.
We need to highlight last resort.
Yeah, it's a last resort.
People who feel
that should be the number one thing. If somebody steps to me, then I'm gonna pull my gun out, and that's gonna be that.
I do wonder what's happening in the last 10 years throughout this country, because of the 12 deadliest shootings in the U.S., at least half have happened after 2007. So something's happening in this country. Something about the climate of this country is happening. And also, those shootings are the most violent region in the U.S. is the South.
And the most violent country is the U.S. Yeah. Period. No other countries ever faced this much when it comes to policies. So are we the U.S. citizens? By the way, in my personal opinion, the U.S. citizens are we're constantly drinking the cup of fear. We always have that fear in news media. Yes. We always have that fear in every other angle.
We don't see the fear that's coming out of this country. Like, that's in your neighbor or your neighborhood or in your state. Like, we're ignoring what's actually happening here. We're looking at, like, the Middle East and, like, those people are crazy. But they don't see the insanity that's happening in our backyard.
That's the point, to keep you over there so that you don't see what the fuck.
So you can be like, our enemies are over there.
It's the perfect distraction.
Yeah, exactly.
But that shit been going on.
That's why this is going to become about Islamic terrorism as opposed to other things, like the homophobic nature of it, the gun control issue. That's going to be swept under the rug.
But see, when it comes to,
I don't know about that.
I really think it is.
We can't let it happen.
Okay, my thing is for his homophobic nature of this. If he was that extreme, it could have been that he had tendencies.
That's very possible.
That's possible.
I was talking to my friend about that.
It's funny you mentioned that. Go ahead.
And the reason I say that, because a lot of people, but you have flaming guys that really are girls. I meant literally ladies. And they're trying to get their life right with God, and they're praying for a change. But this is you. Embrace who the fuck you are. Be yourself. And a lot of people are still running after this big change that they're going to pray the gay away. And even the Muslim religion, it's there too. And that sometimes be the root of the problem. They don't never get down to the grain, but sometimes that be the problem. Like in this case, why you choose a gay club?
You see, this is what, again, because of the fact that apparently the story was the fact that he saw two men kissing in Miami and he felt outraged. Now, looking at
why the fuck he didn't come back to Miami?
Well, but you know what? We can ask all sorts of questions, but the reality is, even if he would have came out of Miami, still the result would have occurred regardless of what.
It's not a valid enough excuse for me. He saw two men kissing in Miami. Oh, well.
Well,
you need to learn to coexist or go somewhere else.
Now, here's the thing.
There's more to it.
This what I thank you. There's so much more to this.
You are what you hate, and you hate what you are.
Now, this is what I learned. This is what I heard. Now, someone just told me this. I could be wrong, but someone told me because of the fact that when it comes down to Muslims in itself, they're usually separated from women.
Yeah, they are.
And when it comes to growing up, discovering yourself amongst yourself is something that's quite common.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very common, actually. And that's something that they don't talk about. So therefore, having the experience, your first encounter with someone of the same gender is so common, but they don't speak anything of
Maybe
it.
it could have been something that happened to him that he didn't want to have happen.
And you know,
with
that's
somebody
possible.
else. And then it sticks in his head. It's like, okay, this happened and this caused a problem for me, even though I didn't want it to happen. He could have been molested, or he could have felt like he was molested, or anything that could have happened that could have triggered him. When he saw these guys, it could have taken him back to that moment where it was what originally happened to him happened.
Yeah. I think you guys have a point, but also I look at it like you have, like, let's say a white guy shoots a black guy. He's not shooting him because he thinks he's black. Like, he's not like...
That's
I'm
something
saying, like,
He's
he's not like a white
representative
guy
of
who's
something.
like, I'm black. You know, maybe it could have just been pure hatred.
It could have.
Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be...
We're not ruling
discounting
that out.
No, I just want to
But
put
then that
out.
goes back to the same point I'm trying to make.
That makes it more
hatred
tragic.
could have been you
know what I
hated
mean?
yourself.
Exactly. There was something that he was hating, and
It's
he saw it,
possible,
and it struck something in him.
It's entirely possible.
You can't just hate just to hate. There's a reason.
No, there are people who hate just to hate.
There's a reason
Yeah.
behind their hatred. There's something to it.
And it's something that actually I'm just reading that in certain cultures within the Muslim community, not all when it comes to certain denominations, but in certain ones, it speaks that homosexuality is not just a sin. It is considered to be the ultimate fornication. So he probably that probably was his feeling towards that because he was raised to be that way, possibly. But I'm not going to say it because I just pull up an article just right now where there are 5 Muslim nations where gay is legal. Number 1 being Malai. Gays in the African nation might face a local homophobia, but the law is on their side. In 2010, a Milan volunteer for the Peace Corporation wrote that she looked up the laws dealing with sexuality and saw that Article 179, of the Milan Penal Code did not specify heterosexual or homosexual activities, but instead decried public indiscretion. Indiscretion. All right. Jordan was under the Ottoman Empire, where homosexuality was decriminalized 75 years earlier, but between 1922 and 1945, the country was a subject mandated by the League of Nations. However, in 1951, the new nation made homosexuality legal. Indonesia being gay became legal since forever. No, really, the country never had any legal prohibitions against homosexuality, at least since it was founding as a nation. Turkey in 1858, the Ottoman, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, cipher decriminalized homosexuality. Albania.
Cause you fucking up.
Albania, being gay has been legal in Albania since 1995. So these are all Muslim countries. So we can't necessarily place it all in one big old bowl. But we know some people will definitely place it there.
Yeah.
If one person do it, they all do it.
Yeah.
One person, one idiot doesn't know necessarily how to handle a gun. They all don't know how to handle guns.
Yeah.
Now, the issue of guns in itself, and I'm going to stick on this, when it came down to the issue of other countries getting rid of the guns, it's been going on through several years. Australia is one of them. I believe England is another. And how many other countries are out there that has no guns? Should America really have that? My opinion, no. But maybe everyone shares.
Tell me, what do you consider the benefits of having guns?
No, listen. everyone wants to feel some sort of protection, regardless of what. Whether it's a condom.
They don't use them.
No, I'm not going to generalize. Whether it's protection for your family, whether it's financial security, having a trust account, some sort of a security everyone wants to feel. When it comes down to the guns, it's exactly the same thing. The only difference is something physical, is something that can cause harm and also cause death. So the only difference that I see when it comes to the actual gun issue itself is basically just simply having the proper precautions that no one else in your family is able to get hurt by this physical metal object that can basically hurt and also kill. The benefits are, though, in the situation where you are come across something that you probably never came across, what's the purpose of having insurance? It's for those just in case things. Same as guns, those just in case moments. You do not know what's going to occur. You think the people in Orlando really knew that was going to occur? They probably thought it was going to be like a normal night. It was a normal night, just like we go to the Manor, which is another Wilt Manor's club down here. Any other night. So nobody else had that comfort or that thinking, that thought. So what would happen? Yeah. Somebody probably could have taken him out. The security guards probably could have taken him out before he caused more harm. That's a possibility. I see the benefits as that.
But then that goes to the point of this, because you have an option. But I think now with this happening, you're going to see more armed security at clubs instead of just standard
Perfect.
Security. But to this point, you really didn't need it.
It only takes one.
Yeah, and this is a major one.
And that's why I think that's where the benefit occurs.
Yeah.
The benefit comes
at the same time, people have fought for the right to bear arms. So, it's your right to do that, just like we fight for our rights in the LGBT community. It's just something that people feel like they want it, so they fight for it. If it happens, it happens. So, you can't really say that it's not something that shouldn't be.
My personal opinion is, and please, if you do and you're not, don't take me offensively, but my personal opinion is cowards carry guns. These are people who have fear. They don't have any, I know the words I'm looking for, but I don't want to say the wrong words. But they can't stand up for themselves physically, so they get this piece of steel to give them that source of invincibility or that power. You find, and I find this a lot, if you look within yourself and find out, even with cops around you, some of the cops around you are people who've been bullied in school.
Not all of them.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, for all of them, but for some, and sometimes for the majority, these are people who've been bullied in school or wasn't anybody, you know what I'm saying? They always was looked down upon. I've seen that a lot coming lately too, My dad was in the force, so at 19, I go to the police academy, and at 19 and a half, I'm a police officer, Little things like this is happening that people are not looking at as anything else. But these are things that needs to be checked, because of that kid that got in at 19 because his dad was a police officer. He's already had an invincible attitude because he went to school as my dad, a police.
I'm going to say this, that, I do have, some police officers who are in the family, and I do see that some people actually feel as their American duty to somehow to contribute. They probably not necessarily go to military, which, by the way, you still got to carry a gun there, and to come locally and do it. So some type of contribution. Some people do have that patriotism, even though I think it died. I think people use patriotism as just something that's you can be able to use and throw it out in politics or when you're going for a freaking campaign. Because a lot of people are not as patriotism. But for those in the South, that may not necessarily be. They may be very American, according to them. But also, I'm not going to say that it's not fear-based. A lot of people who do carry guns didn't like the fact that black men were free, And I think Columbine by Michael Moore kind of depicted that little cartoon that was doing around that time where black people became free and black people were just want to live peaceful, want to live just leave them alone. But the fear struck all people that let's load up on guns. They are free now. They may take revenge. So the fear does propel that. But at the same time, do I think that a lot of people still have that fear? Yes. fear for protection of the family, or some people just have it as a safety measure and did the proper training in order to get it accomplished.
Yeah, I can't think of any good reason that someone needs to walk around town with a gun strapped
Not
to
with
them.
that kind of gun.
Certainly not with that type of gun. Like, you can have it in your house, you want to protect your house, I understand that. But honestly, I'm just thinking, like, let's say you're you're somewhere, you have a gun, a shooter comes in the heat of the moment. Like, how many incidents have you heard of someone actually being able to protect other people because they happen to be carrying a gun? I mean, how we've heard more about mass shootings than we have the opposite of someone being, like a vigilante and able to save people because they had a weapon on them.
Well, there's a lot of cases, and the thing about it is, I think personally that
you say it's not reported, but have you heard anything?
I personally was touched by that. I'm telling you right now, it is something that's not necessarily reported as much because most of the news derives off of fear. They want to push the same agenda. So they want to push something that they don't talk about how the good things came about. They want to talk about the bad things.
That would be a good thing. That scenario, saving people,
like, we hear stories about people saving other people.
We hear about dogs saving
I have to say this. Since I've been in Florida for 5 years, I have not honestly seen anything positive on the news. To be honest with you, back home, I've seen they have segments where toward the end of the show, they have a good moment where they talk about something that's lighthearted or whatever. But since I've been in Florida, I have not seen one thing come out of the news. I have not seen one thing being positive. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
so I stopped watching.
That's how Channel 7 has become the top news station.
Because it's like they want you to fear. They want to get your attention by all the bad things. But what about the good things that are happening?
Because it works.
I don't get it.
It works. Like, I'm always seeing shooting in Miami Gardens. Always South Beach. It's always the same thing.
There's always something that's bad.
It gets you watching TV. Now, also,
it terrifies people. That's what I think. It just terrifies people. So what's the point?
Now, here's a brief history of the attacks on gay clubs. Just want to kind of go run down them real quick. One of the occurrences that actually occurred was in June of 1973, to where an arsonist set fire to an upstairs lounge at a gay bar in New Orleans French Quarter, killing about 32 people. Then you have the next incident that occurred on February 21st, 1997, where a person sets off a nail-laden explosive device on the other side of the lounge. This is a lounge actually located, a nightclub in Atlanta, where most gay and lesbian clientele. This is actually on February 21st, 1997, by the name of Eric Rudolph. Then you have in September 22nd, 2000, Ronald Gay opened fire in a gay bar in Roanoke, Virginia, killing a Danny Overstreet and injuring 6 others. March the 1st, 2009, the Lawrence Henry brothers, Lewis as well as also Larnell, also along with their cousin, hurled chunks of concrete of patrons at a gay bar in Galveston, Texas. In December 31st, 2013, Musab Masri, I'm not sure if I actually said it correctly, poured gasoline in a stairway at the decade-old gay nightclub and set fire in it. There were 750 people in the Seattle club for New Year's Eve, but it was extinguished with no injuries. June 12th, 2016 is where we are today. So there has been a history of that type of hate crime occurring. Because that's what basically I'm going to label it as, a hate crime.
It is.
It's something that a lot of people, knowing these things as a club owner, what are you doing? That becomes the question for me.
That's the next question to ask.
How much more beefing up can we possibly have?
And will this, like we said before, will this be something that for the next couple of weeks, couple of months, whatever, will they see it? Will they act on it? And then as time goes on, will they say, oh, well, okay, we don't need security guards with firearms. Let's go back to what we were because this is costing us money. Nothing's happened.
Exactly. And not only that, but there's some information also more that I want to kind of disclose about the person. But I do want to give the names that have been identified, the victims that have been identified so far. Edward Sotomayor Jr., Stanley Almodovar III, Luis Omar Ascasio Campo, Juan Roman Guerrero, Eric Ivan Ortiz Rivera, as well as also Peter Gonzalez Cruz. These are just some of the names that actually have been identified so far, along with Joshua McGill. Now, the special part about Joshua McGill was that he was being hailed as a hero because he also saved another man's life. So these are just some of the names that actually just recently came out from this situation. We just want to make sure we give honor and respect towards some of the victims that occurred here. So to kind of wrap this up, because it's definitely coming down to the hour here, I want to kind of see exactly what would you like to see come from this, because again, we have an entire week. This is just fresh out. We have an entire week that's going to be coming out, and I'm not sure. Of course, everybody's going to write every type of article. Every type of politician is going to come out the woodworks.
And they already are starting.
Exactly. So what would you personally like to see? And kind of go around the table and start with Darnell.
I would like people to realize that this, while he was Muslim and his religion played a part in what he did, there is extremism across the board with religions. When you become radicalized to a religion, you can't see straight. You can't see 10 feet ahead of you because you're so stuck in that dialogue, that narrative, that book, or what have you. I hope people realize that there's more to it than that. And I hope they really focus on the homophobia of it. Like, he really had a true hatred of gay people. I hope they realize that these people were shot not for something that they did, but for what they were, because they were existing and gay. And that seems to be a crime in and of itself. You know, it's treated like it's the worst thing you could possibly be. It's like those mothers who say, I would love you even if you were an axe murderer after their child comes out. And it's like, well, you're equivocating me being gay to being a murderer. Like, there's something wrong with that. And I think we really need to focus on that and realize that these people were more than their sexuality, that they just wanted to live their lives, and now they can't, because an insane person who isn't just insane, like, he wasn't just purely mentally ill, he had a lot of other stuff that sort of contributed to his mental illness. Like, his religion contributed to it, his environment, this society contributed to his ability to go out there and think that this was the right thing to do.
Ricky.
I would like to see more unity within the community, not just on today, because, like I said, when I woke up this morning, I saw on Facebook the trending and social media period where everybody was reaching out trying to see if this person's okay, have you heard from this person, and everybody was being supportive. And that's something I think, not just on today, but from this day forward, I would like to see more of that within the community, within, whether it be black, Hispanic, white, just to see more of us come together to be able to support each other, not just in the bad times, but in the good times, and to be able to have fun together, because that's what it's about. You live your life, and you do you. You shouldn't be afraid to be who you are.
JT.
I just want to see this shit come to an end. It's senseless for me. I want our church folks, Muslim, whatever religion you think about, if you think that gay is wrong, you need to find another way of dealing with it, because this makes it okay, and it makes it acceptance to what the life we live is. But there is some parents that's going to find out at the same time they found out their child was gay, that their child is dead. Some people who didn't accept their child's life, as they call it, a lifestyle, is now have to accept the fact, not only accept the fact that their child is deceased, that they pushed them away because of their sexual preference. So for me, I just need some type of unity. No matter how it come about, we need UNITY.
Good shot.
I really want to see more embracing of diversity, because I see a lot of discrimination, and I see a lack of people wanting to accept people who are different and understand people who are different. Just because you believe in this and that doesn't give you the excuse to discriminate or hate or kill someone because of this and that. There's no excuse for it. I was so happy to see the Muslim community and the gay community come together, because I just thought that would never happen, But for me, there's so many things I want to say. I'd love to see more security. I'd love to see better gun control laws. I'd love to see less discrimination, more punishment against discrimination, and more conversation around mental health. And I would love to see more logical news reporting, less sensationalism, and let's not forget that it was a gay club. Let's not forget that it's Pride Month. Let's not forget that this was homophobia. Gay, rainbow, queer, LGBT needs to be associated with this event. Human rights need to be pushed to the forefront, and these were humans. I mean, yes, it was a gay club as well, but above that, I want people to understand that they were humans. They were your brothers and sisters. It could have been you. It could have been your child. You could have been there. It could have happened to anyone at any place at any time. Stop looking at it as this group as a label thing. They're human beings, and we lost our brothers and sisters.
You know, this is Chris, and this is the final word. I want people to understand that ignorance is bliss, and people will capitalize on that ignorance if we do not get educated. And the problem, if we do not seek education, people will benefit greatly from this. Politicians are going to say whatever they need to say. Media is going to just capitalize this and swing you and try to persuade you towards certain directions. That's because you're not being willing to educate themselves and just say, you know what? I have this tool called the internet. Let me do a little bit more investigation about questions that I want to know. Is this something that a lot of people really do within the Muslim community or not? Do I myself, and question yourself, do I really have hatred towards gay people? How much hatred do I have towards Muslim people? Is this a double whammy for me both? You know, do I feel happy and sad at the same time? I don't know. And how much of that within your own beliefs is blissful, is peaceful, is God-like? So I hope and I look for people to become more educated. I look for people to actually do things politically to tighten up some of the laws that we have, but let us not continue to promote some sort of hatred or discrimination towards a particular class, because at the very end of the day, it does nothing. So just get educated and add the proper amount of pressure towards your local politician to make sure things are done properly. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate everybody for expressing their opinions. Any type of questions, you can always email us at brothaspeak at gmail.com, as well as also you can also log on to brotherspeakpod.com, brotherspeakpod.com, as well as also brotherspeakpod at Twitter. So any type of opinions, please make sure you express that. I'm pretty sure we'll have some things posted on Facebook as well, and just let us know what you feel. Have a wonderful night, and please pray for the victims. Thank you so much.